Hey, there we go.
There we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Cost Shipping with Cindy and Dave. And right now, along with me, I've got B, Carolyn, and Kevin. I want to give a special thanks to Kevin for helping me to set this up. I didn't know how to do it, and he's been a great help. Hopefully, everything's working. We're having a little bit of technical issues, and everybody else can say hi real quick. B?
Hi, guys.
Carolyn's in there, too.
Hey, there we go.
Hi, Cindy.
There we go.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, there we go.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to
everybody. You guys, somebody needs to mute their YouTube feed.
Right, the YouTube feed, you guys got to mute. Okay, this is kind of new to us doing it this way. We've always done Spreecast in the past. So please be patient with us through any technical problems that we may or may not have. It looks like we might have lost B, but I'm sure she'll be back on in a while. I posted a poll a while back about regional rate, and a lot of people didn't understand regional rate, so I wanted to do this on regional rate, and then Cindy's going to do a portion on international flats, how she's able to ship those a lot cheaper than a lot of people can for her cross-stitch patterns.
Their YouTube feed.
Right, the YouTube feed, you guys got to mute. Okay, this is kind of new to us doing it this way.
It's your problem.
You got to go to your YouTube feed and mute it. There we go. So she's going to do some of that, and I think she's going to show us one of her Fomos. And if you guys are okay, I'm just going to go ahead and start right in on regional rate. Regional rate is not a flat rate. It's a zone-based pricing. So it's a fixed price for a zone. And let me show you the boxes first real quick. This is a regional rate A box, and this is the top-loading one, and this is a side-loading one. And the A boxes are good for anything from up to 15 pounds. And then this is a regional rate B box. They also come in a side loader like the other one, but I don't have one of those here. And this is a regional rate C box, which is a pretty good sized box. These boxes were pretty prohibitive to use before, but now with the new rates that the USPS gave us in September, if you're shipping zones 1 through 4, it can be a great value. And with UPS and FedEx raising their rates, changing to dimensional rate at the beginning of the year, this box is going to end up being more handy for both of us. Now, to understand regional rate, you have to understand zones. Let me bring up my map here. Hang on. Zone map. Okay. So I'm going to bring this up, and it will help you to understand that a little bit better. Okay, so this is I live in California, and you can see over here in the lower left, California zones 1 and 2. So for me, that's zone 1, and all the way on the other end of the United States is zone 8. So New York would be zone 8 for me. Texas would be zone 6. Cindy over in Utah would be zone 4. And if you lived in Texas, then Texas would become your zone 1. And Cindy in Utah would become, I think it's zone 6 for Utah, or zone 5 possibly, zone 5. The East Coast would be zone 6. So that's how the zones are all broken up. Your zone 1 is where you're shipping from. And then the United States is broken up depending on where you're at to different zones.
David, is there a way for someone to pull this up so that they have a map of their own zone? So
you know what? I couldn't find a map that shows everybody else's zone 1, but there is a link on USPS, and we'll get it posted at some point that you can punch in the first 3 numbers of your zip code.
I got it right here. I can actually pop. I have a link right here for the zones.
Okay, that'd be great.
Right now, I'll put it in the YouTube video.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yep.
I appreciate it.
I think that's one of the biggest questions we get asked is, you know, what are the zones? So I really appreciate you guys doing this.
Let me go back to this map real quick. So if I'm shipping from California and I've got to ship to Cindy over here in Utah, that's zone 4 for me. So there's going to be a fixed rate for zone 4, depending on which box you're using. And the same thing would be for if I'm shipping over here to New York, that would be my zone 8. And I'm going to bring up that pricing here. Let me find it. We're going to use the stamps.com blog. Thank you, Eric Nash, for posting this before. Let's get in here. Okay, so here's the regional rate prices. Now, most of what we're talking about is commercial-based pricing, which is what everybody that ships on eBay or anybody that ships online, if you use stamps.com or any of the other online services, these are the rates that you get. Then there's commercial plus rates, which would be for eBay, it'd be a TRS seller, or for heavy-duty shippers, they get what's called commercial plus rates. The difference in commercial plus for regional rate are so small, it's only a few cents. Whereas with standard priority mail, it can be quite a big savings. So if I wanted to ship something in a regional A box to, let's say, Cindy over in zone 4, anything up to 15 pounds would cost me $5.84. So if you had something that's 1 pound, it wouldn't be a good value because you'd actually be able to ship it for a little bit less if you shipped it regular priority mail. But for anything that's 2 pounds and up, then it's the same price as a 2 pound box going to zone 4 or going to Cindy. Same thing with going to New York. New York for me is zone 8. So I could ship anything between 0 and 15 pounds to zone 8, and it would be $9.97, period. And by comparison, a medium flat rate box is $11.30 no matter where you ship it in the United States. So if you have the choice to, if you're at 2 pounds and above and you have a choice to use a regional box rather than a medium flat rate box, the regional rate box will always be a better value. If you have commercial plus pricing and you're going to New York at zone 8, commercial plus or TRS pricing, then it becomes $8.99 for a 2 pound box. So with commercial plus pricing, the regional box A doesn't start making sense until you have 3 pounds and up to 15 pounds. And the regional rate B box, you can see right below that, also has some good rates, and that would start generally at 4 pounds. These ship the same, ship at 4 pound rates, regardless of where you're shipping it to. So shipping 4 pounds in a regional B box to New York would be $19.53, whereas using a medium flat rate box would be $11.30, so it wouldn't make sense. But if you're shipping to zones 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, then a regional rate box is cheaper than a regional rate B box is cheaper than a medium flat rate box. And then there's yes.
I just want to say I use regional boxes a lot because it helps me because I'm in I'm not the center of the U.S., but I'm in region, you know, where it really works for me. So people in the central United States, please, please, please look at the regional rate boxes.
Yeah, they really can make sense. Okay, and the regional C boxes, they recently had some pretty big cuts to them. So the regional C boxes ship at the 17 pound priority mail rate. So shipping a 17 pound box to Cindy in zone 4 would be $10.74 regular priority mail, and it would be the same using the regional C box. The nice thing about the regional C box is you can put up to 25 pounds in it. So I could ship 25 pounds of flatware to Cindy in Zone 4, and it would cost me the same $10.74 to ship there as it would shipping regular priority mail. That price pretty much beats any price on the market. I don't think that anybody can ship 25 pounds to Zone 4 for less than $10.74, regardless of whether it's shipping parcel select or shipping priority mail, FedEx, UPS. So this box can actually be a great box for if you're not shipping more than 4 or 5 zones.
I think it's also something great to point out is that for so long the regional Cs were way out of a lot of people's price ranges, and so they've just kind of forgot about them. I highly recommend getting some in and considering them.
I completely agree, and we'll answer some questions a little bit later in the broadcast. That's pretty much on Regional C or Regional Rate boxes. If you have any questions on those, you can go ahead and post them in there, and B will be keeping an eye on that. And Cindy, you want to talk about international flats?
Sure. So a lot of you ask me all the time, how do I ship so cheaply? And how do I ship needlework kits? One thing that I want to bring up to you guys and gals, all of you, is say for example, I had a kit, cross-stitch kit or whatever I have. They're usually thin. Now if you get needlepoint kits, they tend to be a lot thicker, so you've got to keep that in mind when you put in your can you guys see me? Because all I see is B.
Yeah, we see you perfectly.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Needlepoint kits can be thicker. One thing that you got to keep in mind, David's going to post how big the envelopes have to be. They have to be no larger than 12 by 15, which I do have those envelopes. I carry 12 by 15s because sometimes kits can be larger. And they want to be uniform in size, so you can't have something that's, really bulky all throughout the whole thing. It's got to be uniform. And also, you want it to be flexible, so it can bend. It doesn't have to bend. So even if you put a piece of cardboard in there, remember, you just don't want a really stiff piece of cardboard because then it goes as package rate. But the thing that is important to remember is if I take a kit and it's already in a plastic bag, I just put it into the envelope, okay? I put it into the envelope and I don't do anything else. If it's not, all kits are in plastic bags, but if I have patterns and they are not in a plastic bag, I either put them in a plastic sleeve or a Ziploc plastic bag because you don't know what the weather is going to be in that country at the time it arrives, and if they just put it on their porch, it could get damaged. So I always put it either in a little plastic sleeve that I buy 150 of them at Costco for $9 or $10, or you can buy them online. And I also buy Ziploc bags in bulk. I put those in there if they're patterns. Now I sell a lot of patterns, but a lot of my patterns already come in plastic bags because they're not books. So remember, it can be 3/4 of an inch thick, okay? Now this goes to an unbelievable rate, and I think David's got the rate. We will post this available to anybody that wants it. The rates are amazing. So that is considered a large first-class flat. Now the only people that offer that is Stamps.com. You can get a free Stamps.com account where you don't pay a monthly fee if you are an eBay seller. And we will have that link available also. But when you're looking at it and you're considering shipping items, you got to remember that when you're shipping international, if you can get these into the packages, and this one weighs 4 ounces. I already tried it. 4 ounces to international, other than Canada, is $5.10. Okay. Now, if it were to be a package, it would be $8.88. There's a big difference. So I think one thing that people forget is for domestic shipments, 1, 2, and 3 ounces is the same amount. It's $1.93, and that includes delivery confirmation. When you are shipping international first-class flat envelopes, they're really a good buy up until about well, 14, 15 ounces, sometimes even more, depending on where they're going. But what happens is if you were to ship a 1 ounce package to international flat, it's $2.29. If it becomes a package, it's $6.16. So there's a huge difference. So when you see these, see your competition listing $8 to ship a cross-stitch pattern international, they probably likely do not know about international first-class large flat envelopes. So get on the competition for that. I will stress this more than anything is I do not use calculated shipping. The reason why I do not use calculated shipping is 2 reasons. One, eBay does not offer first-class flat large envelopes. So when they calculate, if you put in 4 ounces, they're only going to have it as the package rate. I only use flat. I only use flat amounts because I can go in and put a 4 ounce package at $5.10. Always remember that international pays 1% more in PayPal fees, so you could easily charge $5.75 or $5.75 or a little bit more to kind of eat up that 1%. But Canada is so cheap that if you're offering free shipping, I also recommend offering free shipping to Canada. 1, 2, and 3 ounces in the United States, like I said, is $1.93. For Canada, 1 ounce is $2.29, 2 ounces is $2.50, and 3 ounces is $2.71. So when you're doing that, when you're looking at that, and you want to try to get, whoa, sorry, just sold something. I love that. Sorry, I could have turned that off.
Congratulations.
Thank you. That always throws me off. If you want to get that Canadian market, I would offer free shipping on your first class to Canada. One thing to also remember, and I'm going to kind of go off here a little bit off the first class international. If you have items that weigh under 12, 13 ounces, and you can send them first class, offer free shipping. First class in the United States up to 13 ounces is only $3.47 for 13 ounces. It starts at $1.93, goes up to $3.47. So if you have anything in there, figure out your prices. I'll have this be made the chart, but for me, thank goodness. But I'll print this up. We'll put it in our document so that you guys can look and say, okay, I have a package and it's 8 ounces and I want to ship it to Germany. It's going to be $8.85 flat or $11.48 as a package. Put that in as your price and don't do calculated, because calculated you're not going to get first class large flat envelope in eBay because they do not offer it. I have to stress that over and over. So I'm happy to help anybody on this. This has made me a ton of money by shipping this way. This has gained me a lot of customers by shipping this way, and I think it's important that we use that. Hold on, let me grab. Sorry. Grab that market. We need to grab that market, and if you can ship to Canada patterns free or sewing patterns, it's really inexpensive. But remember, up to 3/4 of an inch thick, it's got to be uniform, and it's got to be bendable. Kits aren't, they're not going to go, the post office isn't going to go, oh, let's bend that kit. Chances are it's not going to be bent, but it just can't be rigid. If not, it goes as a package. So flexible is pretty flexible. And I have never had a problem. I mail thousands and thousands of patterns and kits a year. But remember, where you're going to have the issue when you start to list a kit is going to likely be with needlepoint kits, because the yarn is so thick and the canvas is usually folded and it's already 3/4 of an inch thick or more. So those usually have to go. Now the other thing I'm going to ask David, I forgot to ask him beforehand, there are a number of what we call DELCON countries.
Yes.
Okay, those offer delivery confirmation on first class packages, not on first class flat large envelopes. Okay, So if the difference in price is not very much, and you know it's a DELCON country, and you're just a little terrified about shipping, use first class package rate. So say, for example, I had a package, and it was 12 ounces, and it was going to a DELCON country, meaning delivery confirmation country, which would be what, just name me a country, David.
Australia.
Okay, so it was shipping to Australia, and it was 12 ounces. It would cost me $10.72 to mail it as a large flat envelope, but it would cost me $13.41 as a package, and I would get delivery confirmation. So for that assurance to pay that $2 and some cents difference, it might be worth it to you. For me, to Australia, it's not an issue. I've never had a claim in Australia ever.
So if you're sending something first class flat, large flat, you won't get tracking to anywhere out of the country, is what you're saying?
Exactly, exactly. And please believe me, I've never had an issue, ever. I've been very, very lucky. I've been very lucky, and I know we've got a number of sellers that only use the global shipping program. If we were to send this cross-stitch pattern first class to Germany, it will cost me $5.10. If this were to go to Germany through the GSP program, likely would be $23 shipping, plus it would be the customs on top of it, and also any VAT or other fees. One thing to keep in mind, if you're not using GSP and you send a pattern, not a kit, but a pattern, and it's a document, likely it will bypass customs. The reason why I don't use the GSP program on my items, the global shipping program, is everything goes priority, and you, at this point right now, you cannot combine, but if you call customer service, they'll try to combine, but it's a really pain. A lot of my customers buy more than one item. So they're buying more than one item at a time, and so what I like to do is I like to combine all their order together. You can ship first class international up to 4 pounds. In the United States, it's only up to 13 ounces or below. On Etsy, it's a pound or below. Etsy's got special pricing through the post office for that. So the thing that you want to remember is with GSP, your customers are going to automatically pay customs. If you ship it yourself, I call it a crap shot. It's a 50-50 chance that they may go through customs or they may not. So to keep that in mind when you're thinking about the GSP program, I would use the GSP program if it's over 4 pounds or if it's a really expensive item, because it's guaranteed once it hits Kentucky, Erlanger, Kentucky, to the GSP offices of eBay, they take responsibility for it if it does not arrive at the destination. So I swear by the USPS first class large flat. I can say that I've had one claim in 14 years on eBay. It was to a Russian about 5 years ago who said he had not received his item. A few weeks after I knew it had possibly arrived, I tracked him. I did not stalk him. I just looked him up, and I found out that he had been stitching the kit. It was a Christmas stocking kit, and he stated that he was about halfway done with it. Well, I left him a message on his blog and said, "Is that the kit I sold to you?" Obviously, I never heard back from him, but I had to look at it as, yeah, it was a $195 kit, but to me, it only cost me $20 because it cost me $12 to mail it, and the kit cost me $8 to buy. So I don't want to look at it as a $195 loss. So that's my only claim I've had in 14 years with shipping. I ship all over the world with no restrictions. I'll ship anywhere that'll give me money, as Michael Simon says in my cost group. I'm happy to answer any questions at any time. You can either message me or ask, at the end, and Bee's going to go through all the questions. But the other thing that I want to point out too is don't be afraid to ship international. International, to me, makes a lot of money. In August, 42% of my business was international. In September, it was 47%. That's almost 50% of my business is international. David, what do you do internationally?
I ship all kinds of stuff internationally, but I ship, usually bigger stuff, anywhere from coffee mugs to fishing reels to big,
Yadros?
big collectibles.
Yeah. And David does use the GSP program. David, do you want to talk about that for a little bit, about the GSP program and how it works for you? I just wanted to let them know why I don't use it.
Well, the GSP, I think, is good for a lot of stuff, depending on what you want to do. A lot of people like to use the rule 4 pounds or over, and maybe high-value items. Some items that are over 4 pounds I'll ship on my own. Since we're using Australia, and I love to use Australia as an example, there are no import fees to Australia for anything under 1,000 Australian dollars. So if you are shipping through the GSP to Australia and you have free domestic shipping set, your buyers don't pay for you to ship it from your location to the GSP in Kentucky. They only pay from Kentucky to Australia, and the GSP gets great rates going to Australia. So I can ship anything that I'm shipping free in the United States. I can ship anything to Australia through the GSP for less than I can ship it myself if it's 3 pounds or over. The rates are just better through the GSP, and that's because the buyer isn't getting charged import fees on top of the shipping fees.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So, say for example, I had a package that was, 4 pounds going to Australia, and it would cost me about $10 or $12 to mail to Kentucky. Okay, so they are in the GSP program. So I've just paid $10 or $12 to ship it to Kentucky to get it there. Then I've lost that $10 or $12 because I had free U.S. shipping on it.
Absolutely, but for you it becomes a domestic sale. It's not an international sale; it's a domestic sale. So if you're shipping that kit if you're shipping that item for $10 domestically, then you're not losing anything.
Because I already had.
If it was free shipping before.
Exactly. Perfect. So I think that's one question that I think a lot of people have asked in the past. They say, yeah, but I still had to ship it to Kentucky. Yeah, but you had already planned on shipping it somewhere in the United States.
You didn't plan on selling it internationally. You got lucky and an international buyer bought it. So the GSP, it's a tool. It's another tool on eBay that's good for a lot of sellers. We have Joseph, who doesn't ship internationally on his own at all, and he's recently joined into the GSP, and he's had probably between a dozen and 20 sales since he's joined in. So it's been a good program for him because he wasn't shipping internationally at all. For people who are afraid to ship internationally, it's a good way to start, and then maybe start adding some of the countries to ship yourself.
Exactly, and I think it's really important. The other thing to really keep in mind is, as we're talking about shipping, a lot of people look at their dashboards and say, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to lose my. I'm way down. I know I put all the tracking in for every single one of my items, but I'm only showing that I'm at 91%." David, do you want to talk about that a little bit, because how it changes every day?
Sure. People panic when they see that number. They know that they're shipping on time, and all their items are getting a scan somewhere along the route to their buyer, and they panic when they see that number go down. Well, between the 20th and the 1st of the month, that number becomes kind of a live number. So every time you ship a package, it counts against that number until there's been a validated tracking scan. And the validated tracking scans are sometimes behind for eBay. It takes a while for everything to catch up. So sometimes those numbers can dip. You can dip below the 90% easily if you're shipping a lot of packages. Once the 1st of the month comes, that number won't go down anymore. It becomes kind of locked in. And then as the tracking validations come up, that number starts to come up too. And you have between the 1st and the 20th of the month, when you have your evaluation, for it to all line up. So like I'm at 100% right now, and so it won't change until the 20th. And once the 20th comes, then items that I have out that haven't had the tracking validation yet uploaded to eBay, it will start counting against those numbers. And those numbers will drop, and sometimes they drop, like I said, below 90%. The first of the month comes, they stop dropping, and they start rising. And usually within a week to a week and a half, I'm back up to 100%, and it stays at 100% until the 20th of the month when you get your new evaluation.
And the thing to remember is that, say you mailed 25 packages today, and it shows that okay, so for the week you mailed 100 packages, but you mailed 25 today. Shows that you uploaded tracking in time for 75 of those packages because those 25 have not hit the scan yet.
That's
so
right.
You're going to be at 75% for a few days until that hits. So the other thing to really keep in mind is you need 90% or better, okay? I sell a lot of items that fit into an envelope, a 49-cent envelope. I still carry those items because it's a deal I have with one of my designers to buy wholesale, that I carry their whole line. Some of their patterns, only need a 49-cent stamp. So I do carry those items. When my numbers start to get lower, I sell a lot of those patterns. I pull those items off of eBay and don't sell them until I can get my numbers back up. And it's not, I'm not selling them for the company. It's just I took them off for a few days to catch me back up. I've always been over 90%. I've always been top-rated seller since the program started. But don't let that part of shipping scare you when you go into your dashboards.
Right, right. So I know that you're going to do a little Fomo demo in a second here. I wanted to back up. We had these technical issues trying to get this started. We had to change the link and everything, and I actually missed a tiny part of my presentation with the regional rate, and so I wanted to touch on that right now, and then we'll do your FOMO, and then we'll do some questions. A lot of people, when you're going to ship regional rate, they don't know how to set it up on eBay for that. Well, the eBay listing form doesn't have a place to put in for regional rate boxes. So if you know that you're going to ship it in a regional rate box, you can actually put in 2 pounds calculated shipping priority, and you'll never come up short. If this is for a regional A box, between 2 and 15 pounds. So if you put 2 pounds in your shipping calculator, you'll never come up short. It will always be, you'll always get paid the right amount of shipping. And if it's a regional B box, you would put 4 pounds in for calculated shipping priority mail. And then when you go to ship it, you'll choose the regional B box, and you will have been paid the right amount of money from your buyer. Now the problem with putting these weights in, the 2 pounds, the 4 pounds, or the 17 pounds, if it was going to be a C box, the 17 pounds, the inherent problem with this is, one, eBay's shipping application won't let you, doesn't have an option for a regional C box, so you would have to ship a regional C box elsewhere through stamps.com, Octane Ship Manager, through the USPS online. You can ship it there. But the 4 pound, the B box and the A box, they both have shipping options in the eBay ship flow to do that. The problem with putting the 2 pounds or the 4 pounds in for your shipping rate is, if you're shipping internationally and you're shipping internationally yourself, and you've got a 5 pound box and you put 2 pounds into the shipping calculator for your international shipping, it's going to calculate incorrectly. So basically what you're going to have to do is, for international, for your shipping weight, you're going to have to put in, if it's a 5 pound box, put in 5 pounds, and then if you're going to ship it regional rate A box, you'll still ship at the 2 pound rate. You can refund your buyer part of the difference for the shipping overages, because they're going to overpay shipping for domestic, or you can add that to your profits.
Wonderful, David. And one thing that I want to also point out we had an issue in my cost group. For those of you that are listening that are not aware of what cost is, cost is Cindy's Online Selling Tips. It was started a few years ago at the request of one of our eBay sellers, Debbie Weeder, a good friend of mine, who asked me to help her and some eBay employees become better eBay sellers. And so we started it. Now we're sitting at about 880 people. We're a closed group. If you feel like you really, really want to join us, you need to message me or David or Carolyn to get in, because we turn away a lot of people every day. What I want to stress about it is we had a lady today mention that she has been undercharged over and over and has to eat a lot of fees in international shipping, and we're trying to figure out with her what she is doing. And Pat, I don't know exactly what we come up with because I haven't followed it today, but if you have an item and you have a coffee cup and you put it in as the ounces that it is, it should calculate to, you know, what it's going to weigh. David, do you know what followed up on that? How was she was she not putting enough weight on it?
You know, I missed the thread, but I don't know. A lot of people make a mistake in their ship flow, and they get undercharged is because they choose the choice that you're using, the large envelope, the large flat, instead of a package. And so for like Canada, they'll get charged, they'll charge the buyer $4 and something cents, and it'll cost them $10 to ship it. It's because they have the package type in the listing flow chosen incorrectly.
Exactly. They're picking letters instead of package.
Instead of large package, no, large envelope letter. Isn't that it? Let me look it up.
Yeah. Okay. Thank
I'll
you.
post a screenshot. Hang on, I'll post a screenshot of it. Give me a second.
Okay, and I just want to give a shout out on my mugs. People are making comments to me. This is from my buddy Garth. I decided to drink out of the coffee mugs today. These are the coffee mugs that I'm going to do the Fomo method. While David's looking that up, I'm going to talk about to members of Kevin's group and to my group who don't know what Fomo is. And I'll explain it really quickly with the Reader's Digest version of what it is. I happened to go to a meeting before the flat rate padded envelopes came out, and these were paper. Thank goodness they made them plastic now. These can be your best friend. They can become your best friend so quickly on eBay to where these are. I don't know, how do I word this? This has become one of my favorite things. I mailed 2 shirts to Scott Henshaw about 8 or 9 months ago, and I got both of those shirts in there, and he said it was the best job he'd ever seen because he couldn't even get one back in, let alone 2. You can get a lot in these, and as I was at the meeting at the post office about these coming out, going through my head was, I can get coffee mugs in there. Because most coffee mugs that you have are over 13 ounces. This one turns out to be 16 ounces when I ship it, but I can easily get this into a padded flat rate envelope and ship it across the country. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an eBay mug that I just happen to have here. This is an eBay mug that I have just recently found out is no longer made, so it's quite valuable, I guess, to any eBay sellers. And so what I'm going to do is, a lot of people wrap it in cardboard first. I do. I just take an old piece of cardboard and I wrap it in. But first what I do is I do bubble wrap. Now, I didn't get a big enough piece of bubble wrap to wrap this, but I'm just going to show you really quickly. Wrap it in bubble wrap. I always secure the handle really, really well. And so then I wrap it in cardboard, and then I wrap it in bubble wrap again. People go, wow, you wrap it so much. Well, remember, it's going to go in this padded flat rate envelope. So it's going to be quite large. I didn't do a whole thing for you because I didn't bring up the cardboard. I was so stressed about doing my international shipping rates that Bea saved my butt on. And then it's going to go in this. And it's going to go as a padded flat rate envelope on eBay it costs $5.35, David, or $5.70?
It's $5.70 if you're not TRS, and if you're TRS, which is commercial plus pricing, it's $5.35.
$5.35. Now, if you were to ship this as a priority for over a pound, it could be anywhere up to $10 outside of this envelope across the country to different regions. So how I came about it is I ended up calling Jason Smith from Thrifting with the Boys one day, and I said, Jason, I just got back from a post office meeting, and you're not going to believe what's coming out, these padded flat rate envelopes. And I said, I think we need to ship coffee mugs in them. And he goes, Fomo, you're brilliant. Now, Fomo is because I'm a former Mormon, and that's what he calls me. But we couldn't just call it Fomo shipping, and people trying to, think, former Mormon shipping, that's weird. So Jason and his wife, Stacy, came up with Freely Overcoming Mug Obstacles. So I have to give a shout out to Jason on coming up with the name, but it's been very successful for me, and I've, knock on wood, never had a broken one yet. And I know a number of you have had broken ones. The one thing to keep in mind is that you always want to secure the handle, but a lot of times people have found out that there was already a hairline crack in the cup when they shipped it. Here is an example right here. This cup right now is worth over $400, but I cannot sell it because it's got a crack in it. Hairline crack, you can barely see. You probably can't see it on the camera, and it's right here by the ski guy. So how did I hear this? I was getting ready to pack it. I accidentally bumped it on something, and I could hear it just kind of had a teeny sound, and I was able to feel and find that crack, or I wouldn't have found it. This would have been a huge, huge loss to me as an item not described or as a broken, because it definitely would have broken on the way. Because it's a $400 mug, I would not ship it FOMO. I would put it in a box, and I would probably ship it regional box A if it's in my zones. And but I shipped recently, well, about a year ago, I shipped an iPad. Yes.
Cindy, I don't know that that'll fit in a regional A box. It might be a little bit too thick for it, but that mug is going to ship at 2 pounds regardless. And as a TRS seller, if you ship it in a 7x7x7 box, you're going to actually pay a little bit less because of your TRS at 2 pounds. And I wouldn't put that in a regional rate. I would put that in a square box and ship it at 2 pounds, and it'll cost you $8.99 for the farthest zone, and of course, the closer zones would be less.
Awesome, awesome, David. Great point. Also, remember, regional rate boxes are a lot thinner than the priority boxes that the post office has. They're a lot thinner box. So if you've got something that really needs to be, secured, that the box is quite a bit smaller. I mean, thinner. The other thing that I really want to point out about shipping these kind of things, I've just been picking up mugs along the way, and I have a few sitting here. When you're shipping mugs, if you're shipping more than one mug at a time, never have the handles in towards each other. I received a box of 6 Volkswagen mugs about 2 years ago. All the handles were broken off because the seller, even though they bubble wrapped them, they had the handles next to each other. Have them go on the outside of the package into the corners if you're shipping 4, if you're putting them in a flat rate box or a priority box. But having them go into each other, they will definitely break. I've had it happen more than once. I've had it happen a few times. And I feel so badly when I have to write the sellers and say, here's the cups, and they're all broken. So, and it happened coming home from London a couple of years ago. I packed them wrong myself, and I ended up breaking some Starbucks mugs from Ireland and England that way because I packed them incorrectly. So remember, that's the weakest point of the mug.
Now I do my FOMO a little bit differently. I kind of that I use boxes in the padded envelopes, and I brought those boxes up here. And
awesome.
This is an 8x5x4 box. These are my 2 favorite boxes that I have in my shipping arsenal, and there's an 8x6x3 box. And this 8x5x4 box is a great box. I can put 2 standard size mugs in them. I bubble wrap them, bubble wrap the handles. I put a piece of cardboard in between the 2 boxes after the 2 mugs after they're bubble wrapped. I seal it up, and I am able to put it into a padded flat rate mailer, and this is what it looks like when it's done. It just fits. Are you guys seeing that picture? I can't tell here.
Yeah, we are, David. And can you give us the size of those boxes again that fit into the flat rate box?
Okay, that's an 8 by 6 by 8 by 5 by 4. I can do 2 mugs in. This is the box for it. 8 by 5 by 4 inches. And this is my other favorite box. I use these to ship. I've shipped a lot of flatware in them and a lot of other items in it. This is an 8 by 6 by 3 box. And this fits even a little bit better than the 8 by 5 by 4. But the 8 by 5 by 4 box is the biggest box that you can stick in a padded flat rate mailer. And I actually have a video showing how to get it in, and I have a video showing me kicking one around with a mug in it, and that's somewhere on my YouTube channel.
Yeah, David, your YouTube video is under your name, or is it under Monet Court?
It's under Monet Court.
Okay, and so everybody can see that. It's a great video. Also, keep in mind that when you're trying to get like ugly Christmas sweaters or jeans into a padded flat rate envelope, there's 2 things I want to suggest. One is to put the item inside of a Ziploc or a plastic bag. They slide into the plastic a little better because the envelopes are inside. They have bubbles in them, and so if you'll get friction if you have just clothing trying to get it in. I found it works better if you are putting that in. Now, if your item is clothing and it's really, really tight in there, please mark on the outside, do not open with sharp objects, because all you need to do is have someone open with a pair of scissors and cut into the piece of the article of clothing or something. So I just write that on there. Okay.
Okay, I've got a screenshot of in the eBay shipping flow. Let me bring it up here. So if you're putting in all of your dimensions correctly and the correct weight of your item in the ship flow, right here, and you're shipping internationally and you're not getting paid enough to ship, right here's the problem right here. Package your thick envelope. I can't get it to show up on the screenshot here, but you can change that. If you have it at large envelope or letter, you're going to get the wrong amount for shipping. The buyer's going to pay probably about half as much as it costs to ship. So you need to make sure and put it on package or thick envelope. And the reason being is because eBay doesn't have in their shipping flow, they don't have a choice for large envelope or letter. You would have to buy postage for that elsewhere. And obviously you can't really ship a mug in a letter size package. So you got to make sure if you're shipping internationally that you have it set for package or thick envelope, and that will solve your getting underpaid for your domestic shipping.
Awesome. Awesome, David. One other thing I want to bring up before we take questions is if you're selling a lot of items that you can do combined shipping on, I do not do immediate payment required. The reason why I don't have immediate payment required, I understand why people like Joe DeMarco, and because he's had issues with buyers, and other people do it. But if you're selling a lot of items and people come into your store and buy a whole bunch of items and they don't use the cart, and they buy an item and they have to do immediate payment, remember that every time you sell an item and it has immediate payment, you're paying 30 cents per transaction to PayPal. And then when buyers want to have their item combined, and you've already lost 30 cents on one transaction, 30 cents on the next one, 30 cents on the next one, if you've already got free shipping on those, it's easy to combine those, but you've already lost money on each transaction, even though you've got the price built in. But if they want to do combined shipping and you don't have free shipping, you've got to remember that each transaction's already been charged fees. And so I have a lot of customers that buy more than one item a lot of times. And so what you want to do is you want to combine the shipments. And I used to have in my listings, if you're still shopping, I don't mind, I'll combine your listings. But again, this is a whole new video that we're going, about how to become better sellers. Now that we're on Hangouts, these are automatically recorded, so you can go back and look at them. But the ones we've done in the past, because we did them on Spreecast now charges, and so we lost all of our videos that we did prior to this. So one thing is if you do sell items that you might have someone that buys a lot of items on, do not have immediate payment required checked. Okay, David?
I was muted there. Absolutely. B, I think we're ready for some questions. You want to shoot some of those questions at us? Are you still here, B?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, shoot us some questions.
All right. Starting off with the very first one that we got, and there was multiple people asking that. Going back to the regional boxes. It seems that eBay doesn't really have the option to print out postage for a C regional box.
Correct, and I touched on that a little bit later on in the video. If you're going to print postage for a regional rate C box, you're going to have to go to USPS.com, Stamps.com, Octane Ship Manager, ShipWorks, Indicia, any place where you can buy online postage. Most of them have an option for the regional rate C box, but eBay doesn't have that in their ship flow.
I will tell you, I have talked to the shipping team, and they are looking at adding it. So now that the prices have come down so much, what was happening is a lot of people were using it, and the prices were so out of reach that they took it off. And so now they are thinking about adding it back.
And ask them to put regional rate boxes in the listing form also.
Okay, I'll do that. I meet with the shipping team next week.
If they were to put regional rate boxes in the shipping flow, we could put the correct weight in for the item and still choose regional rate A or B or C for domestic shipping, and it would calculate correctly, and then we wouldn't have shipping overages to deal with.
Okay, sounds great.
Next one that I saw is how to avoid the issue of there's no tracking that uploads when you ship international flat. How do you avoid that issue? Lane asked that in cost.
I don't worry about it. I'm not being arrogant or anything, but I've never had any issues with my items not arriving. I package the item. The customs number is considered a tracking number in eBay, and I know a lot of people have said, "Oh, I've tried to scan it in and it says it's not a valid tracking number." I've never had the issue where when I ship through Stamps.com, it's listed as the tracking number, but it will show the flat. It will show, the thing is, but one thing that we have to remember, even in non-Delcon countries, even if we ship a package, it's only guaranteed once it leaves the country. It's not guaranteed to get there. Does that make sense, David? Am I explaining this right?
Absolutely. There's no tracking for a lot of the countries once it leaves the U.S. So if you're shipping to, say, we're going to use Russia, and we know that a lot of people are scared to ship to Russia anyway. If you ship to Russia, once it leaves the country, there's no tracking for regardless of what you send.
Yes. So,
Guys,
Lane,
another question?
yeah, let me answer Lane real quick. So when I ship on Stamps.com, which I ship all my stuff on Stamps.com, it gives that tracking number, which is a customs number. It puts it into eBay's flow as a tracking number, even though in reality it's really not a tracking number. But I've never had an issue with it, with anybody claiming they haven't received it, and I haven't had someone say, "Oh, it looks like it's stuck in New York." Well, that's the only place it's going to show. So what I tell them is, once it left New York or once it left LA, it's on its way to you. Let's give it a few more days and see if it's arrived. And I've never had any issues with that.
So on those items,
no guarantee.
You get domestic tracking with it when you're shipping it internationally. You'll get tracked domestically, so it will show up as a validated scan?
Yes, it will.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, B?
Shipping as an envelope. Do polymailers work?
Okay. I don't like to use polymailers because polymailers tend to get caught up in the machines. I've had a lot of issues with them. And I have also been asked by my post office to not use polymailers because they're so bendable or they're so not consistent. So say, for example, I don't even have a polymailer here. But if you had an item in the polymailer, let's just say this is a polymailer, even though it's not.
Let me go grab one real quick.
Okay.
Here.
Okay, when you put an item in a polymailer, post office is going to look at that 9 times out of 10 as a package because it's not flat. Where when you look at an envelope, it's flat. You know, it's flat. And so when you look at those and it may not conform to the size, do not make your polymailers square. Your packages have to be rectangle in order to be shipped as a flat. So if you have just a square item and you fold your polymailer over, if it goes square, it's going to go as a package rate. But I do not use polymailers for international flat.
B, go ahead and talk while you're showing that so everybody can see it.
Oh, you want me to see? You want me to show it?
Yeah, show it and speak while you're showing it so that because you don't come up on screen unless you're talking.
Oh, I don't necessarily wanted to say anything. I just wanted to. I just wanted to give her the polymailer to demonstrate. But I have more questions.
Okay, well, we're here to answer. As long as you guys are okay, we'll continue to answer the questions. Those that need to leave can, and you can watch this on the replay, but we'll stay as long as you guys have questions. Is that okay, David?
Yeah, fine with me.
Okay.
Okay, so there is a situation that I think Ronan, I'm sorry if I say your name wrong. He said that he shipped packages using the global shipping program, and 2 of them got lost or were stopped. And he shipped it using the GSP program. The GSP program didn't really help him out, and he actually had to go and refund both times by himself.
Okay.
So did it get lost?
You want to get it? You want me to get it?
Yeah, my question is, did it get lost going to Kentucky, or did it get lost after Kentucky? Is that?
I think it was afterwards.
Hey, David, I'll let you handle that.
Okay, anything that you ship, once it gets to Kentucky, then the GSP program takes responsibility for it. So if you shipped it to, say, Germany, and it made it to Kentucky, and you have a valid scan showing it made it to Kentucky, and Kentucky then forwards it, the GSP program is responsible, and they will refund the buyer. The buyer has to, I think the buyer has to open a case, and then you'll deal with it then. On some occasions, you may end up having to call eBay or PayPal if it doesn't get taken care of. But they are responsible for all packages that leave the GSP, and you are out of the deal. Now, if it arrived to the GSP and it was broken when it got to the GSP, then it's still on you and your shipper if you use FedEx or USPS.
I just pulled up his comments, and he did say that it got lost. Well, one was stopped by custom in the whatever country he was shipping it to, and never got it back. And then the other one was lost between the warehouse, the GSP warehouse, and the country that it was supposed to be going to.
Then he is completely off the hook. GSP should handle that 100%.
And do not refund. Do not refund on your own.
Refunded the buyer after.
What's that? eBay refunded the buyer after?
Yeah, that's what he just said.
Okay,
Right.
well he should, yeah. Do not, if you're a seller and it's lost between the GSP warehouse and the buyer, do not refund. Let GSP handle it. It's all in their hands. Correct, David?
That's 100% correct. If it gets accepted by the GSP and gets forwarded on, you're done. Your transaction is over. You may have to deal with the customer if he sends you messages, but the GSP will handle any problems between them and the delivery in the country you're sending it to.
Okay.
I just got a question in a text message of Garth, who's watching the show, and he says, do you have any suggestions on how to decide to screen or qualify your international customers to avoid getting, he used the word screwed, but here's my answer to this. Yes, there are people out there that are probably going to, there are scammers. We don't like scammers, none of us do. But the thing is I don't do anything to qualify my customers. I set in my buyer requirements, if they've had 4 negative feedback or 2 negative feedback in the month, then I don't let them buy from me. Or if they've had a lot of unpaid items in the last month, I don't let them buy from me. That's my only restrictions I have. Sometimes that weeds out people. Oh! Ka-ching, ka-ching. That weeds out people that may be scamming you. But I think generally people aren't out to scam you unless you have high-end electronics and stuff like that. And even then, I don't even think it's a lot of scamming. I don't worry about it. It's one thing that we've got to remember: this is a business, and we can't take it emotionally and we can't take it personally. If someone's out to scam me and they want, one thing that people say, well, I don't want to ship to Russia, or I don't want to ship international, and I'm going to call Raymond Smith out on this. He's terrified to ship internationally, and I love to tease Raymond about this. Someday we're going to get him shipping internationally, and I don't know if his fear is because he's worried about losing money or whatever, but generally people are good people, and that's something I always say. If I'm going to have a handful, that's part of doing business, and I'm lucky I've not had any.
Well, it's interesting because I think that Raymond's worried that there's going to be international issues with international buyers, and I will say from my experience, and I can already speak for Cindy from her experience, she has more problems with domestic buyers than she does international buyers.
Absolutely, absolutely, 100% correct.
Same here.
Okay, B.
Okay, next one. How do you check your actual shipping cost on eBay when you use FedEx labels?
David.
Say that again?
How do you check your cost for shipping labels that you print using FedEx?
Okay, if you're going to use FedEx in the ship flow, I'm not 100% sure of the question because I don't know if they want to set it up with FedEx or if they want to set it up with USPS and then end up shipping FedEx.
Deb. Deb, are you still here?
I'm still here. Can you hear me?
No, not you. Deb. The question exactly said, how do I check my cost for shipping with FedEx, what eBay is charging me?
Okay, I'm just going to assume that maybe on your invoice you've been paying more than you've been quoted. There's an issue in the ship flow with FedEx. Here's the deal. If you list your listing and let's say you put FedEx in as your primary shipping method, your first method of shipping, then when the person buys it, they will see the amount that they're going to pay, and they'll pay that amount. And then when you go to ship, in the ship flow, it'll be correct. When you're shipping USPS or FedEx, there's 2 different methods. There's more than that, but there's 2 standard methods, and one is FedEx Ground and one is FedEx Home. And FedEx Home goes to residential, and FedEx Ground goes to commercial businesses. It's always cheaper to ship to a commercial business. If you're shipping to a residence, you have what's called a fuel surcharge. So if you have FedEx as your listed method, it will choose, depending on where the buyer's address is correctly, it will choose FedEx Home if it's going to a residence, or FedEx Ground if it's going commercial. But if you have USPS as your first listed method, and then you want to ship FedEx instead, you can do that. But it's going to default, when you go to ship at FedEx, it's going to default to the ground method. So you actually have to go into your into the ship flow. There's a box there that you can check for residence, and if you check residence, you can see that the label cost is going to go up, and that will be the correct cost if it's going to a residence. But a lot of people don't realize to do that. They ship ground going to a residence. They end up getting charged $3 or $4 more on their invoice at the end of the month.
Okay, now one thing also, David, I want to point out is I've had a lot of people say it said how much it was going to charge, and then I got my FedEx bill and it was more.
That's what I'm saying. If they're getting their bill and they're getting charged more than they were quoted or than they were paid for, it's because they're shipping the ground rate to a residential address. So you need to know whether you're going to a residential or a ground. You can Google the address and you can usually tell by then. And then you can change in the ship flow. I'll try and bring up a screenshot of it. You can change in the screen flow to the proper shipping method, and then you will be get a proper quote.
Okay, David, can I ask you, is there a choice in eBay to ship business or home in the FedEx flow? Because I don't use FedEx.
Only in the ship flow there is. I'm gonna bring one up right now, and I'll show you guys. Give me just a second here.
Because if someone quotes FedEx and it goes from one zip code to another.
Say that again, Cindy.
Okay, say for example, I shipped from me here in Utah to you in California, and I put it in as a calculated FedEx. Does eBay default to business rate or a home rate, or is there a choice?
Okay, here's the deal. FedEx defaults correctly if it's going to a residence or a commercial address if you have FedEx chosen as your first method of shipping. If you don't have it chosen as your first method of shipping, I can't bring up this screenshot. If you don't have it as your first method, then it will default to ground, and you need to manually change it to right underneath the buyer's address. There's a little check box that says this is a residence. If you check that check box, you will get a correct quote.
Okay, so as a suggestion, if people, what are your chances of sending to a business? Wouldn't it save a lot of people heartache at the end if they just checked residence automatically, and then if they do ship to a business and it's less, they could refund? Or what do you suggest?
Yeah, they should actually get a credit. They should actually get charged less on their invoice if they do that. But I think that it would be best to know in advance.
What exactly do you find what exactly eBay charges you, though?
What?
Like, where do you find the exact cost that you will be charged?
Well, it'll show up in the when you're printing the label. It'll show you what the charge is. If it's going ground, it'll already show on the side, you know, $8.58 going to whatever FedEx ground. And if you check the residence button, then it will recalculate and it will show you that it's going to be $13 instead.
Let's say you haven't checked the residence button and you take a screenshot of whatever you paid, and now you get your invoice and you want to compare it and see how much you actually paid, like how much you got charged. Do you do that in your invoice? You look it up in your invoice?
It'll be on your invoice, or you can actually go to your shipping labels tab and click on shipping labels, and once it's been delivered and you've actually been billed for it, even though you haven't paid for it yet, in your shipping labels tab on eBay, you can click on the delivery and it will show you what you were charged. I'll see if I can find a spot on that.
So I know FedEx just confuses me, and that's why I don't use them, even though they can save you a lot of money, but I don't usually ship a lot of heavy items. But I guess, David, what I'm really curious about, and I know you're an expert on FedEx, is, say for example I had a package and it was 8 pounds and I listed it as FedEx. Does FedEx know if it's a business address automatically, or do you, because you don't know who you're selling to?
Yes, FedEx knows. FedEx, this is what I was trying to say. FedEx has an API in their system that automatically knows whether it's a commercial address or a residence address a residential address, but that's only if you chose FedEx as your first shipping method. If you
Okay.
Right, if you have USPS chosen as your first method of shipping, and then you want to change it to FedEx when it comes time to ship, the system doesn't calculate that correctly. That's when you need to know whether it's going to a business or a residence.
Wow. Okay. So that is a lot. That's really good information. Really good information, and something that really needs to be noted, because that can be a lot of money difference.
Absolutely. Let me see if I can find a shipment here, and then I'll bring it up. Whoops, wrong button.
I think we've just confused Raymond to death on this, but anyway. While David's looking that up, I do want to give a lot of thanks to David, B, Carolyn, Stephanie, Debbie, everybody that's admins in my group that have really encouraged us to do more of these videos, and we will be doing quite a few more in the future. We're asking anybody that has suggestions on what to talk about to please let us know, and we will do them. Here's David with the FedEx thing.
Okay, here's a screenshot. Once you've shipped it, if you go to shipping labels, you can see that this one's already been delivered, and I've already been billed for it. My estimated cost on it was $18.47, and I was actually charged $17.74, so it was a little bit less than the quote. And normally I find them to be pretty right on, and you can see this was a home delivery. But when I printed the shipping label, when I went into the shipping flow, it defaulted to ground, which would have been even less. It probably would have been about $4 less to ground. But I knew that this was a residential because I Googled the address, so I changed it, and it gave me a pretty correct quote, $18.47, and I actually paid $17.74. If you go to one that's not, I might have to bring this up again. If you go to one that hasn't been done yet, let's see if this shows. Is this showing? Yeah. See, this one I haven't been billed for yet. I was charged $12.33 for it, and once it goes through the invoicing, I will be probably charged right around $12.33 for it, because I knew that it was a home delivery. I don't ever choose FedEx as my primary method of shipping because it calculates weird, especially for Hawaii and Alaska. It can be expensive. Show up for the buyer. So I always choose USPS shipping, and then a lot of times I'll upgrade to FedEx. But if you have USPS as your primary method, you need to know, and you want to send it FedEx instead, you need to know at the time that you ship it whether it's a residential or a commercial address to be charged correctly.
Okay, let me ask you one other thing while we're touching on the FedEx thing, because I know a lot of people don't realize that they can save a lot of money with the FedEx flow, but they're really confused because they're billed differently each time. Did I lose everybody? I think so. Is everybody still there? Anyway, what I am trying to get at is don't let FedEx scare you off, because you can really save a lot of money. And David and I will do a whole FedEx thing, because it is really confusing. It's very confusing. And so it looks like David's back.
Yes, I hope I didn't screw up the broadcast. I kind of goofed that one up.
Give me 1 sec. I'm refreshing YouTube.
Did it go off on YouTube also?
It did not go off on me, but it went off on you guys.
I'm
Should
not
be live now.
Can we ask people if they...
I can see it live on YouTube, so we're still live, right?
Okay,
so.
someone was asking me, they said, Cindy, you don't say you use calculated shipping for international. Do you choose flat rate then? Options are calculated, flat rate, or no international. And I do use flat. I do not use any calculated on international. And the reason why I don't use that is because I've had a lot of issues where it was underpriced or whatever. I print it out as B had. I have it done by weight. I have a little chart, so if I weigh my items, I know how much they are. Most of my kits are 9 to 10 ounces, so I just use a flat rate on those and charge, $13.95 or $10.95 depending on what they are. But I will have a chart printed if anybody wants it. I'll do it as a document, and I can email it or send it to you. Just message me at Cindy at cindysorley, SORLEY.com, and I'll get it out to you in the next few days.
Anything else, B?
Now with USPS starting to deliver Sundays as well, how is this going to impact our one-day handling?
Okay.
Go ahead, Cindy.
One thing to keep in mind is that Sunday shipments is always only going to be in large cities and high volume cities. Chances are that many of you will not even see Sunday delivery. And I don't think that eBay will change their policy just for the Christmas holidays to count Saturday and Sunday as shipping days.
I agree. I think that your one-day handling is still going to be, if you get a sale or you get paid on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, you still have till midnight Monday night till 11:59 p.m. Monday night Pacific time to upload your tracking. But the holiday season, the reason they're delivering on Sundays is because we want to get our packages to our buyers. So if you have the option to get it out on Saturday, get it out on Saturday. I don't think that the USPS is going to be picking up on Sunday. I think only delivering.
That is correct, from what I've heard. One thing that I would, Stephanie just messaged me and said, you guys are back now. It seems okay. It was just a short time. It went to B only. So we are back on.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. One thing to keep in mind also is a lot of people are confused by the one-day shipping time, and I'm going to touch on that real quick, even though I know we've probably gone on an hour and a half now. This is really important. One-day handling is if you have sold something on Monday, you have until Tuesday at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time to get that label printed and out. But if you ship something on Monday, my philosophy is get the thing out on Tuesday, because if not, you lose a whole nother day. Because if you don't get it out until Wednesday, even though you print the label on Tuesday, it's not going out till Wednesday. And in most towns, it's not going out until the evening because they don't usually do pickups during the day. In a lot of towns, they wait till the very end of the day to send to the shipping center. I think that's one thing that's really kept me with a lot of return customers and feedback that says really quick shipping. I ship 6 days a week, and
I ship 6 days a week too.
Yeah. Now, I know my friend Garth in Wendover, Nevada, their post office is closed on Saturday, which has a lot of post offices closed near you. But I've noticed many times when he's had sales on Friday night, he drives over the state line to Wendover, Utah, where they have their post offices open until noon. So he drives over there to get that out to his customers, and I think that's really, sometimes we have to work. You want to see how would you be treated, and sometimes we have to take off our seller caps and put on our buyer caps and say, we ordered this, we expect it. Plus, we're all in a lot of the times, many of us are Prime members on Amazon, and we expect the item to get there faster. So you sitting on it, my best advice is to try to get it out as fast as you can.
Most items that are purchased from me before 4 p.m. my time in California here get shipped out on the same day.
Mine is 5 o'clock, so that's great, David, and I think that's really important.
Yeah, I'm just a believer in getting it out fast, and I love shipping on Saturdays because we kind of get an extra free day or two with in the buyer's eyes, because if they buy it on Friday night or Saturday morning and you get it out Saturday, the post office, they're still there, they're still working, it gets processed, it gets in the transport flow, and A lot of times you can ship stuff on Saturday and it'll get to your buyer on Monday, and they love that.
Also, keep in mind that even though your windows or your counters at the post office close early, sometimes the last pickup at your post office is not until later that afternoon. So familiarize yourself of what the last time is you can drop off. Mine counter closes at noon, but I can drop off until 2:30. So many times I've gone in and dropped off right at 2:30 on Saturday when I've been running late. Okay?
Yep.
B, are there any more questions?
There is one that I want to read to you. Cindy, you said you don't do calculated shipping for international. Do you choose flat rate then? Options are calculated, flat rate, or no international.
And I just touched on that one, B. I answered that one already, but I will answer it again. I do choose flat only, and I just weigh the item and put in the title. Now I'm not right on. I just can go, okay, that's 8 ounces, and I look on my little chart. And Joanne's already asked me for a chart, and I'll get one to you, Joanne, but we will post the chart that B printed up. We'll post that as a document.
Okay. And then I have one more. What does the GSP
Hey, I got a crown.
You got a what?
That's funny. What does the GSP program do differently than what we do at home? I'm not really sure.
Well, the GSP handles everything. They handle once you ship it to them, they're responsible, and they handle everything from customs forms to getting it shipped out. It's interesting. Griff did an in-person a week or two ago, and they were close to the GSP, and the GSP allowed them to come in and see. And he's supposed to do a blog on it, but he was able to see how they package there and what they do, and they open up the packages and inspect to make sure that what you say is in there, and then they usually seal it back up and send it on its way. A lot of people think that the GSP repackages everything, and it's actually not the norm that they do that. Not that they don't at times repack stuff and ship it off, but for the most part they don't. They don't repack. They just inspect to make sure that that the mug that you said that you sent is what's in there, instead of something illegal that might be going to that country. So the GSP, they're just a freight forwarder. That's all they are. They're just a freight forwarder, and they assume all the risk for getting it out of the country. Whereas when you ship it yourself, then you're the responsible party for getting it to your buyer.
Also remember that GSP, the Global Shipping Program, is not to every country. It's only, I don't know how many countries it is now, David, in the 20s somewhere, isn't it?
60 or 70 countries.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh, I had no idea it was that big right now. Also remember that if you are signed up for GSP, you can also take the option to ship worldwide for those countries that do not ship into the GSP. So what would happen is you would ship, GSP would handle the countries that are in their program, and then if you wanted to open up to other worldwide countries, you can also have that option to ship to countries that are outside of the GSP program if you want to. But if you're scared to ship international, I'm going to say something to you. I'm going to call out Garth again. He was nervous to ship. He didn't want to fill out all the paperwork. He didn't want to fill out all the customs. That's all done for you. That's all done right in the flow. All you have to do is, if you use eBay, you just have to sign your name that you're shipping the item. And on stamps, I don't even have to sign because it's just signs my name automatically. But there's nothing more to ship to anywhere in the world than it is to ship to the United States, other than you might have to sign your name. Also remember that if you ship anything first class, 13 ounces and under, if you ship flat rate boxes, priority, please ship to Hawaii and Alaska and Guam and Puerto Rico. These are all parts of the United States. And I'm amazed how many times. What's that?
APO and FPO boxes.
Absolutely. Cost the same amount to ship And your regionals are going to be different. That's something we're going to look into to get the prices. But please open yourselves to these regions, because it's amazing how many eBay sellers do not ship to Hawaii and Alaska. And I'm just blown away. Get those customers, get those APOs and FPOs. Those are our military and our diplomats serving across the world, and they want to get their items. So please do that.
TP, I don't know. I don't want to say the wrong name, but Cindy, can you talk a little bit about custom forms?
Yes, I am happy to talk about customs forms. One thing that I will highly, highly, highly stress: do not mark any customs forms as gifts. It is illegal and it will get you in trouble. The other thing to mark is eBay will take the title of what your item is, and they will put that title into what your, what it'll describe the item, and it will tell you what that item is. So you don't even have to type that in. All you're typing in is the ounces. Keep the value of what you sold it for. Customs does not include shipping prices, so do not add shipping prices to that custom value. If you're using eBay shipping, PayPal shipping, other shipping methods, then that number of the price you paid is going to transfer into your customs form. David, can you think of anything else?
I have something to say.
No, I can't think of anything else. Just if you're filling out custom forms yourself, try and make your description in the description box as, how do I put it, nondescript. If you're sending a Rolex watch to Germany, you might want to just put watch rather than putting Rolex watch.
I'd like to add, especially, I am from Germany and I worked with them while I was there. If you can, because Germany always needs receipts for everything. Their custom is crazy. If you can, get a little pouch. Do you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay. If you can, get a little pouch, kind of like the free ones that you have. I have a bunch over there. I got them off eBay. And if you can, print out an additional invoice and put it in on the outside of the package. So custom can easily get in, pick it up, see what it is, and pretty much just stamp it, all right, good to go. So the buyer doesn't have to come, and because what they do is they hold the package. If they don't really know what's in there, if the fee is going to be too much, they will hold the package, will contact the buyer, and the buyer is going to have to travel all the way to that location to actually provide a receipt, which is an invoice. That's what they want. So just stick an invoice into a little plastic pouch on the outside, and it will be so much faster. It will clear customs so much faster.
I use these. I use the little invoice enclosed, stick right into the package, and you put your folded up, stick it in there, and then Germany Customs can cut it open or do whatever they want. I usually put one in here, and if it's also the custom forms that you have to put in the USPS envelope, I stick one in the back of there too. So I usually affix 2 of them to it so that make sure they can get it. Customs in Germany is really, really strict on that.
They're super strict, yes, and they need the reason why they do that is because they need a receipt.
Yeah. So really stress to Germany, have the receipt on the outside of the package.
Correct. So the GSP program is shipping to about 65 countries right now, and here they all are. Is this showing up? You guys seeing this?
Yeah, but it's really small, David, but we can get the idea that they have 65 countries now. Boy, that's huge.
Yeah, it's really huge. And they ship to South Africa, and we know that there's issues right now with shipping in South Africa ourselves.
Now, one thing to remember also, the GSP program has pulled off some countries that they've had issues with shipping to some countries that they couldn't, that were taking too long and everything. I know that Spain at one point was pulled off. I don't know if they've been put back on. So there is chances that they may, countries may be pulled off the GSP program, evaluated and put back on or taken off at different times. So if you think you want to question, hey, I'd like to open myself up to GSP, and how come I'm not getting any sales to a certain country? It may be because they are not on that country. That country is no longer on GSP.
Okay. Anything else, B?
Cindy, Leah asked if you avoid shipping to India.
Oh no, I ship to India all the time. Love India. India, I've never had an issue. I did actually have an issue a few months ago. I don't know if David remembers this. David looked up the address for me. It was an incomplete address. The guy did not get the item. It was an incomplete address. eBay covered me, said nope, the address was not complete. The guy admitted it in the email, and I was not out any money.
That's it from my side. That's all I got.
David, do you have anything else to say?
I think that's it. You know, in cost, we'll continue to answer questions as they come in cost. I enjoyed doing this. Sorry we had these technical issues at the beginning.
Yeah, and also I want to welcome everybody from the Thrifting Lounge. Kevin works directly with us. We enjoy working with Kevin, and we will be doing more of these. Please give us any suggestions of what you'd like us to talk about. We've got a lot of knowledge between all of us, and I'm happy to be part of this. And I want to welcome everybody, and we will continue to do Hangouts.
Sounds good. Thank you, everybody, for attending. We'll see everybody later.
You guys are
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye.